The Legend of William Davis, the Golden Farmer, and John Bennett, Highwayman of Bagshot. Saturday, 20th of December 1690, William Davis was put into a cart and conveyed to Salisbury-court end in Fleet Street, near the place where he committed the murder, for which he received sentence. And there, having made a short prayer, he gave the executioner the word or sign to do his office, and was accordingly executed without making any speech or exhortation. He was hung by the neck until dead. A gibbet was erected following his execution, and his body was taken to Bagshot Heath, Surrey, where he was hung from that gibbet opposite his house. John Bennett, alias Freeman, a tall, black man, well set, with black hair, was tried for robbery and executed at Tyburn on Monday, the 22nd of December, 1690. He too was hung until dead, but the fate of his dead body was less severe. He was buried. The Golden Farmer, however, hung from those chains for more than 100 years. Welcome to the fifth of our 13 terrifying stories for Halloween. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the life and eventual capture of William Davis and John Bennett, Highwayman of Bagshot. This is a true story and makes up just one of the dark and twisted tales that exist in my family history. Yhana and I would like to thank everyone for watching. Every time someone views our videos, you give us both encouragement to do what we love. Let us know how we're doing. Drop us a comment, and for more upcoming episodes, please subscribe to the channel. From Yhana and I, we hope you enjoy the story. The history of a golden farmer, highwayman of Bagshot, Surrey, and the southern counties of England, is a long and interesting one, although the facts about his life are very much a tangle. Both John Bennett and William Davis are often regarded as one. But why? In 1714, 24 years after the Golden Farmer was executed, the history of the lives of the most notorious highwaymen was first published. The book was a huge success and has been reprinted many times since. This book has become the main source of reference into the life of a Golden Farmer. The book attributes the Golden Farmer to a man called William Davis, believed to have been executed on the 20th of December 1690 at Salisbury-court, Fleet Street, London, and his body hung in chains at Bagshot Heath. William Davis was married to an innkeeper's daughter, Cecily Card of Romsey, daughter of William Card. It was here in this inn that he met many famous characters from his highwayman days. He resided in many places, including Romsey, Hampshire, and Bagshot, Surrey, to name a few. William Davis was father-in-law to John Bennett. They both hung 2 days apart, and they both had links to Bagshot Heath. Romsey, Hampshire is also an important location in the life story of the Golden Farmer, for it was here that he met an innkeeper's daughter and married her. Many of his children were born there. His companion was also a Romsey resident, known as Old Mob, a cross-dressing highwayman. He was very much a gentleman. There are many characters in the life of this highwayman, and here are just a few. John Bennett, Claude Duval, a French highwayman, Thomas Simpson, Old Mob, Alice Davis, alias Mitchell, daughter of the Golden Farmer, William Stafford, John Stafford and John Evans, robbed at the command of Mitchell, wife of the Golden Farmer. Charles Taylor, butcher of St. Bride's, murdered by the Golden Farmer. Daniel Solomon of Fleet Street, grandson of John Bennett, he murdered his wife, manslaughter, on the 1st of April 1754, possibly in a drunken rage. On the same day, a friend and highwayman was executed. His name was Samuel Dean. Elizabeth Bone, wife of Daniel Solomon, murdered by her husband on the 1st of April 1754. Many locations across England are connected to the life of the Golden Farmer. Wrexham in Wales, birthplace of the Golden Farmer. Sudbury, Gloucestershire, believed to have been an early area of residence for the highwayman. Bagshot, of course. Romsey. Salisbury, Wiltshire. Cornwall. St. Bride's, Fleet Street. Here, a later residence of his descendants, and the location of his fabled execution, the place he murdered, and one of the dark locations where he possibly planned his robberies and drank, whored, and met with fellow highwaymen. William Davis, the Golden Farmer, terrorised the southern counties of England and was executed 15 years before Richard Turpin, Dick Turpin, was even born. The Golden Farmer is one of England's most notorious highwaymen. He may have paid his debts in gold, but in the end he paid for them with his life. William Davis was executed in Salisbury-court, Fleet Street, London, on the 20th of December 1690, and his body hung in chains for all to see in Bagshot Heath, Surrey. There is another story, another fable, and in a way, I much prefer this more romanticised end to William Davis. This tale has passed through the corridors of time by means of spoken tongue and legend. 20th of December 1690, William Davis, the notorious highwayman, the Golden Farmer, was pursued by cavalry after robbing a carriage on the King's Highway. Across Salisbury Heath he fled, and into the early hours of night. It is said that he was shot from his horse by those in pursuit, and died where he fell. His dead corpse then taken to his home at Bagshot Heath, and his body hung in chains. His body hung until his flesh fell from his bones, and the ravens had long plucked away his eyes. 100 years his skeleton was left as punishment for his crimes. He lies buried where his bones fell, scattered to the earth for eternity. This story inspired Alfred Noyes to write his most famous poem, The Highwayman. The wind was a torrent of darkness, among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon, tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle. His pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle, under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered, and clashed in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. His face was white and peaked, his eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, thou hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand, and a black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight, and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, he did not come at noon, and out of a tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looping the purple moor, a red-coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. Two of them knelt in her casement, with musket at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention, with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her, with the muzzle beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say, "Look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She rifed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up she stood, up to attention, with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing, she would not strife again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Had they heard it? The horse hooves ringing clear. To lot in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still, in the frosty silence. Tlot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood, bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew grey to hear how best the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight, and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red with his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight, over the purple moor a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the darkened yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair.